Problem for city schools, and it comes more than a month after City Councilman Robert Stokes called a hearing to get answers from City School CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises.
Mackenzie Frost continues to investigate the response to these apparent failures within city schools.
Sources tell FOX45 News that the former principal, Reginald Lewis, Janine Patterson, may have received money for some work that was never done. It's the latest issue that has come up for city schools, and I have been trying to get answers from leadership inside City Hall to find out when they will do something. On April 8th,
you now have the floor.
City Councilman Robert Stokes brought City Schools CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises before the committee that he chairs, the Education, Workforce, and Youth Committee, demanding answers about the apparent failures at Augusta Fells Savage Institute.
How many other students is it affecting?
2 hours worth of questioning and few answers. Despite Stokes saying he wanted to call another hearing to get more answers from Santelises, 34 days later, no hearing has been scheduled.
We're going to schedule her back. That's why I recessed it.
Okay.
It didn't go back out to the community, so we wanted to make sure we recessed it so we have another hearing. So we come back. Not yet, not yet, but we will have another hearing.
Since the first hearing about Augusta Fells' academic performance problems, even more allegations are rising. A list obtained by Project Baltimore shows 21 possible ghost students inside Augusta Fells. On April 30th, I sent a list of questions to Stokes demanding answers. How can students continue to be allowed to fail? Silence. And again, no hearing scheduled. 5 days later, May 5th, another email with more questions sent to Stokes asking for an interview and answers. When will you call for another hearing to get more answers from City Schools CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises? How many students have to fail before you call another hearing? Questions ignored. Student performance is not the only issue. FOX45 News' Project Baltimore has been investigating allegations of administrative wrongdoing at Reginald F. Lewis High School for months. And now leadership is recommending former principal Janine Patterson should be fired. And after more than a month of inaction from the chairman, we went to his last known address searching for answers. No one coming to the door, but a few minutes later, we did speak to a family member. Another day of unanswered questions about Baltimore students and when the leaders elected to serve the people of Baltimore will act. As for Patterson, that decision about her termination is now in the hands of the School Board of Commissioners. Today, I asked for a timeline about that decision, but have yet to hear back. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, FOX45 News.
As the effects of the Colonial Fuel Pipeline stretch into a fifth day, you've probably seen the impact yourself. Long lines at gas stations, with some stations actually running out of gas to sell. These similar scenes have been playing out in states all along the Southeast, like North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, and Virginia. Well, here in Maryland, we are experiencing the fallout from the Colonial Pipeline attack. It's impacting gas supply and prices. Maxine Stryker is in Timonium with a closer look at what's happening at the pumps.
I've been through like 3 gas stations where they had no gas.
Drivers across parts of Baltimore City and County are scrambling to find gas.
I just better get some gas before I run out of gas. I don't want to run out of gas.
Several stations closed. Plastic bags covering the pumps, signs reading no gas. Patrick DeHaan, the Gas Buddy guy, tweeted that in Baltimore, 7% of stations have no gas at all.
Pretty crazy. Just goes to show like our lack of kind of like preparedness for stuff like this to happen.
Jack Decker was filling his tank this afternoon while he could.
Just in case, say they bump up the price another 20 cents.
The cybersecurity attack on the Colonial Pipeline, which accounts for 45% of all fuel consumed on the East Coast, is not just to blame for the lack of supply, but also the skyrocketing prices. The national gas average hitting $3 for the first time since 2014, according to AAA. Here in Maryland, prices are up 10 cents since last week. The average price per gallon, $2.94.
I found one for $3 already, so it's pretty crazy.
Economist Aniban Basu says what we're seeing is a result of panic buying, much like the coronavirus toilet paper shortage we experienced last year.
They panicked to a certain extent, right? They want to jump front of the line.
Governor Larry Hogan says he's coordinating with the federal government and activated a statewide response to the situation, reminding drivers to proceed as normal. Easier said then done.
Frustrating for one, because you got to be somewhere and you got to be running around looking for gas. So it's very frustrating.
The pipeline is expected to be back online later this week.
The damage may not be very severe if this is resolved reasonably quickly.
And this is what we've been seeing here at many gas stations. We're in Timonium, right across from the fairgrounds. A lot of drivers, dozens in just the past hour, pulling up only to find these yellow bags over the pumps. And many frustrated, telling us they don't know how they're going to get home without gas, but only finding the problem along many gas stations here along York Road tonight. And AAA says these residual effects from the pipeline attack could last up to 18 days here in Maryland. So you need to be patient and get gas when you can. Reporting live in Timonium, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Crisis in Baltimore on pace to eclipse last year's number of people killed of 335. Residents are demanding solutions and fast action to problems they've been living through for years. Will tomorrow's summit between the mayor, governor, and police commissioner provide any hope? As the violence unfolds, the mayor and police commissioner are less than a day away from meeting with Governor Hogan to discuss the city's crime problem. Alexa Ashwell questioned leaders on what solutions they plan to bring from the table. She joins us live right now outside of City Hall. Alexa.
Well, yes, Kai, as we just heard the governor say during his press conference, he expects to hear a crime plan, while the mayor is remaining tight-lipped about what he plans to discuss with the governor. In the midst of May, Baltimore has tallied at least 113 homicides. Another 233 people have been shot. This reality on the eve of a meeting between Governor Larry Hogan, Mayor Brandon Scott, and Baltimore Police Commissioner Michael Harrison. The leaders to discuss this startling statistic and plans to address it.
This is my top priority.
Today, the mayor briefly touching on the crime and releasing this letter. It outlines his hope to reassemble the Baltimore City Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, a collective crime-fighting group comprised of local, state, and federal partners that once existed. Regarding the council that you want to restart, you just sent out that letter. How do you plan to convince the governor on this, since in the past he said this is ineffective?
Well, Alexa, you know I'm meeting with the governor, and I will tell you how I talk to the governor about this after I meet with the governor, because we said we would not be discussing what we're going to talk about in our meeting in the press.
Commissioner Michael Harrison providing some insight during an interview on WBAL Radio.
What we're already doing and what we plan to do going forward and what we need their help to do.
As for the likelihood of the leaders finding a common ground on crime-fighting strategies, the commissioner saying this.
Well, there's always common ground. The question is, can we come to the consensus on it? And so it's certainly our intention to go in to try to find common ground. It is certainly our intention to go in, once again, to really lay out what we've done and what we're doing, what we plan to do, and our plans for the future.
That discussion will be held in Annapolis tomorrow. We, of course, will question what comes out of it. We're live outside City Hall. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.